Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love The Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hey, welcome to Creator Spotlight, powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. We have an awesome show scheduled for you today. And by the way, my name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard. And as always, my friend Patsy, how's it going, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well, and I think you introduced the show a little bit incorrectly. The multi-award nominated podcast Creator Spotlight.
Oh, I'll have to add that.
Yes.
Why? Thank you. Thank you for.
Hopefully, it ends up award winning, but I can't make any promises on that.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Philip from Dark Discussions, how's it going?
Very well, Leo, and happy, I guess, end of 4th of July weekend, right?
I know. It was a fun one. So, Patsy, would you like to introduce our most awesome guest?
Oh, I would. If you clicked on the thumbnail, you already know who it is, but we are joined tonight by Emmy Award nominated. If you've seen TV or movies ever before, you know who he is. He's been on. Let me see. Let me look at my list here. I want to make sure I get this right. So these are some small independent products. Projects. Seinfeld, Terminator 2, and the TV series Chuck, just to name one of the 100+ IMDb credits we have here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Mr. Mark Christopher Lawrence. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime we can get someone with your type of resume on the show, we're happy to have you here. And it's not just we're not just talking about stuff from the past. We're talking about stuff you got coming up, what's going on presently and the future. So we have all the ghosts from A Christmas Carol covered in this podcast.
Indeed.
Yeah. So we wanted to bring up. So you have a Emmy nomination for Stacks.
Yes, it's a short film that Gerald Webb directed and executive produced. I co-produced with Meredith, and it's a little departure from the way you normally see me, but really timely. And from beginning to end, I think Gerald emailed me or texted me 48 hours before LA shut down for the pandemic, and 48 hours later, we were in production and wrapping that same night.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
That's pretty impressive.
Wow.
I mean, you have another, speaking of COVID and whatnot, you have a short film that you're in, the COVID love story of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, that was a fun project to do. For one, the probably one of the most phenomenal Black Shakespearean actors in the country, if not the world, was in it. And my friend Michael Taylor, who just won an Emmy for his show Theater Corner, directed and produced it, and it's a fun little piece.
It sounds it like it seems like it's going to be interesting, especially there have been so many adaptations and takes on that. This last year definitely gave us a new and interesting take that I don't think any of us were looking forward to. I guess the creative folks have definitely taken advantage of this situation.
Well, I think when COVID first started, I slept for 2 weeks straight. It's like the cat would come in and look at me and go, "Are you a cat?"
Even the cat's like, "Listen, buddy, you got to get up and do something. Might I suggest feeding me?"
Now, I have a couple questions for you about Stacks. First of all, for the listeners who are and people who are watching this episode here, why don't you let folks know a little bit about what that's all about? Also, how is it producing it too? Because like you said, you did that as well. And for the nomination of the Emmy, were you surprised? Did you get it as a producer or an acting credit? Why don't you let folks know all about Stacks?
The nomination was for lead actor in nonfiction, in a fiction short. When we started producing it, I mean, we called in a bunch of favors. Everybody knew we had no money, so everybody worked for ultra low budget, which is fantastic. And we literally got together at about 7 p.m. and wrapped it about 3 a.m. And we were going to just pop it onto YouTube with as soon as we edited it. But once the editing process started, we saw that it was really good. The production quality was fantastic. I mean, when you watch it, it looks like a big budget film, and we're really happy with the way it came out. It's social commentary, and with a nice little twist at the end. So.
And where could people want to check this out? Because for a TV show, you just go to Netflix. If it's a movie,
it's on
same
YouTube.
thing.
It's a short film. It's about 7.5 minutes. It's on YouTube.
Okay, so it did finally make YouTube.
Yeah, that's when we ended up posting it up, and
Okay.
It's you'll enjoy it.
I will say
Excellent.
that I think it's a testament to the people involved that when you have something like that that's so short and on such a low budget that looks like this multi-million-dollar project. I think that like I said, a testament to the folks involved and their ability to really get the most out of whatever they happen to be doing. So
Yeah, we had one cameraman, one sound guy, a still photographer, and our director. That was the crew. And Meredith. Meredith was wearing all the other hats. But it's the film itself. I mean, as we shot, just the talent in the film is what made it work. And then Gerald's vision, the way he saw it, he was very sort of Cameron-esque in the way he knew what he wanted to see, and then he was a lot like Rusty Cundiff in the way that Rusty will give you a little rope, and after he got what he wanted to see in the can, then he'd say, okay, let's do a take, Mark, and just do whatever you want to do. And so some of my stuff got in there, which is great.
Now, are you going to work again with these crew? Obviously, I'm sure you would want to, because you did so well with the folks. But have you folks talked, like Gerald and you talked about, hey, let's do it again. Let's do something else. It was so successful.
Yeah, people keep asking us, are we going to do more of that? But I think that particular thing may not lend itself to more of it. But we have talked about other things that we want to do. And, we're kind of narrowing things down and seeing, where we want to put our no money.
Well, we've talked about this before on other shows, but when you have a limited budget, that's where some of the amazing creativity comes out, trying to do something with nothing. And that's where you can really see, some talent shine.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, for Gerald, this was his directorial debut. I mean, he's produced and casted, so many films for The Asylum and for Deinstitutionalized, which is he and Chris Olin Ray's company. I would say probably over 90, close to 100 films that he's casted and or produced, and this is his directorial debut, and it's fantastic.
So sorry, go ahead, Patrick.
Well, I was just saying that's awesome.
So besides Stacks, was there anything else that you made during, I know this was made like right before like the shutdown, but during the pandemic, did you create anything?
I think the only other thing that we shot was the Romeo and Juliet thing during the pandemic. Yeah. I did some painful comedy during the pandemic. I did a show one night in a parking lot at a park, and people sat in their cars and they fed the sound in through their radios, and when people laughed, they would flash their lights and honk their horns. And it was a really weird way to work because you could barely see the cars. It was so dark.
Yeah.
And but people had a great time,
That's all. So it was like kind of old school, like the drive-in theaters.
Like the drive-in, exactly. It's called drive-up comedy.
Nice.
I just went to a drag show a couple weeks ago. Same thing, drive and drag. Like it was the same thing. Although we got out of our car because the show was just absolutely phenomenal. So
well, you had to get out of your car to show off that dress.
But yeah, I mean, you should have seen me at a party this weekend. You think I'm kidding, but there are people watching who know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hilarious.
Now, Mark, now you mentioned you weren't able to do too much during the pandemic as I guess most of us. But now that it's opening up and stuff, you mentioned offline just a little while ago that you got a new gig going on in Knoxville.
Yeah, I'm doing a film with Pure Flix, a faith-based film, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I've worked with David A.R. White several times on Pure Flix. David was the founder of Pure Flix, and Malibu Dan I did with him. I'm recurring on that series on Pure Flix, and The Content I did over there. And every time I work with them, it's always fun. I produced a show called Pure Comedy for them, and they're always fun to work with, and it's always a good time, and a very safe, nurturing environment. I think sometimes as an actor, you work in some places and it's not fun. You just want to get your money and go home. And it's like, and I always love working with them.
Nice. Is that your first big gig since the pandemic is kind of slowly disappearing?
No, All the Queen's Men, Tyler Perry's All the Queen's Men. We shot back in December. And I tell you one thing about that production, Tyler, I think shut the studio down for the pandemic for a couple of months to understand the bubble. I think he talked with the NBA and he took their advice and then kicked his bubble up a notch. It's like they hired me, then the next day someone came to my house to test me for COVID. And then 3 days before I flew, they tested me again and then flew me out, on private plane. And you get there and they take you right to the studio. You go into the parking structure, test again. Everybody comes in the same day. You go into your house. There's housing on Tyler Perry Studios property. They put you up in your house. You wait 4 hours for all the tests to come back. And then they open up camp. And 2 days later, you test again. You get your temperature taken every morning before you can move around campus. And then every 4 days until you leave, you get tested. And so it was such a safe environment, a safe way to play. And the work itself, this particular project is not your standard Tyler Perry fare. He didn't write it or direct it, and he's not in it. And it's really cutting edge, I think, for Tyler Perry Studios. And it's gonna grab an audience that maybe he doesn't already have.
I think that's interesting, and the way you're describing that, like the precautions that were being taken. We interviewed somebody last week, and it sounds very similar to what they did. I mean, on a much smaller scale, but like the very same thing. And they even had in the credits that nobody caught COVID before, during, or after, because everybody was very smart about it, which is good to hear. Because as a consumer of entertainment, as we all are,
yes,
it's nice to be able to know that the folks who are providing this entertainment to us are not putting themselves in harm's way in any way, shape, or form, because if we enjoy seeing your work, we want to continue seeing your work, and we don't want you I know the whole thing, suffer for your art, but it's okay if you don't.
I ain't trying to suffer that hard.
I don't blame you.
As the old folks say, when I was a kid, I remember my great grandmother said to me, "You better put some shoes and a shirt on. You're gonna be breathing out of your behind." and I'm not trying to do that.
No, that sounds uncomfortable on a lot of different levels.
Well, this is a great segue. Speaking of behinds, are you playing one of the male strippers in the show?
I am not. They didn't want Greenpeace coming in, rolling me back into the ocean. Get him in the water. He can't breathe.
So can you tell us a little bit about the role that you're playing?
Yeah, the role is sort of the antagonist. He's a bad guy with good heart. It's the best way to describe it. It's a great look for me because it's a very dramatic role, but they let me have a little leeway to put a little funny on it. And it's gonna be fun to see me that way.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Did you pull anything from like your Big Mike character into this?
No, I pulled mostly from my growing up in Compton character.
It's good source material there.
Just thought about all the gangsters I knew growing up. It's like, yeah, I use a little bit of him, a little bit of that.
Nice. Well, speaking of Compton, you have Clean Out of Compton, which is hilarious.
Thank
I
you.
have a link in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. So I know a lot of comedians, the raunchier, the bigger laughs and everything like that. But
and not necessarily true.
No. And I really enjoy clean comedy. I could imagine, how much on point you need to be in order to get the laughs. But how difficult do you find it to be to keep clean comedy?
For me, it's easy. I started doing comedy in 11th grade, and doing dirty comedy in 11th grade, living in my mother's house, was not an option. Because inevitably I'd be out if I'd do some dirty comedy somewhere. Somebody from her church would see me and call her up. Lee, you need to talk to that boy of yours. He out there doing that filthy comedy.
Be breathing out your behind.
So right, and so it wasn't an option. And then one of the people who I admire in this business that I opened for, Robin Harris. He was about to blow up. I don't know if you know Robin from he's famous for Bebe's Kids, and Robin was the star of the Comedy Act Theater in LA. People showed up and packed the house out because he was hosting every show, and not necessarily clean, and pretty blue on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. But I would work with him at a park at like 2:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday, and he'd be doing the same act, squeaky clean. And he said to me, he says, "Mark, always write clean. You can work anywhere," and it's a fact.
Nice. Speaking of all that, you mentioned your mom's church, and then you work a lot with Pure Flix Entertainment. Well, how's your faith work into your work and your acts and the jobs you take?
I think faith helps me just relax and know that something is coming. I think as an actor, you're always looking for that next job, and sometimes you start to panic because it's not coming when you think it should come or when you want it to come. And then, but just having faith, allows me to relax and go, you know what, I'll be fine. And sure enough, boom, here's a job.
Nice.
Well, I think definitely the faith part could translate into, it's like I have faith, which translates into confidence because I know that, I'm good enough to get, job X, Y, or Z, or I'm good enough that other people are going to call me. I don't have to go searching for stuff per se.
Exactly. And I think part of the pandemic too was like God teaching me patience and trust, trust that I got you.
Yeah.
Because throughout that year, like I remember the first 3 weeks of the pandemic, I was losing gigs daily. It's like, people would call or send a text and say, hey, we got to reschedule, or this thing is canceled completely or whatever. And I never needed anything during the pandemic. It's like everything, was taken care of. I was like, wow, look at God work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I had something I was working on that was supposed to happen that the weekend everything shut down, and then we picked it back up and we're doing it again in a couple of weeks. Like, so it's nice to see that that perseverance pay off.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like my last audition before everything shut down was for a film called Family Camp, and I killed it. It's like I got in the parking lot and I remember changing shirts because I had on this Robert Graham shirt and it was hot and I was sweating. So I put on a t-shirt and then I called my agent and told them, hey, I think we're going to get this one because it felt like I just killed it. And sure enough, they liked me, and then everything shut down.
Yeah.
But then June rolled around and that film came back and we shot it in Oklahoma.
Nice.
I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and you may go through a little suffering now, but it's things have a way of working out,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Like, I've been out of work for 3 months at this point, but I've gotten a lot of writing done. I've been doing some behind the scenes work, learning a lot more about filmmaking and whatnot. So things are all right. It'll work out. I mean, I'm not working at all. My wife is working about 80 hours a week. So between the two of us, it averages out to we're both working 40. So that, I think that works, right?
There you go. Are you doing the cooking and cleaning?
Yeah. A lot of it. Yeah. The shopping, like all the stuff that needs to be done during the day. She's a biochemist working on like COVID.
Wow.
So yeah, she's doing important work.
There you go.
I want to take a quick break here for a second to tell you about Terrificon. And, I approached Mitch because, I wanted to get some commercials to show you guys. We absolutely love Terrificon. It's one of the best run cons here in Connecticut. And right in Mohegan Sun, it's a huge con. And, if you love comics and, celebrities as well, you'll have a blast there. But let me see. We'll play this one. We got a couple different ones.
Meanwhile, near Terrificon. Imagine being frozen in ice for 70 years.
Oh, God, no. I can't stand the cold and ice. But seriously, you should all go to Terrificon. It's the biggest comic book convention in all of Connecticut. It's got stars from all those DC comic book movies and Doctor Who and Star Wars.
Oh, I love sci-fi.
Yeah, and they also have all the best comic book artists and writers. The people that make the Hulk comic books, Captain America comics, Spider-Man, and what's the other guy with the hat and the whip and the fedora?
Dr. Jones.
Yeah, that guy too. It's all at Terrificon. It's on July 30th to August 1st in Connecticut. For more information, go to Terrificon.com.
Visit Terrificon.com for all your Terrificon needs.
Is this X-ray?
No, that's the 4th floor.
Are you sure?
Trust me.
And it's in the new convention center at Mohegan Sun, right off the Winter Garage. And huge convention center. Patsy, you were there last year, right?
No, nobody was there last year, but the year before, yes.
Year before, it's like I blocked out 2020 altogether, but yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. There was some good stuff. I got to meet Maurice LaMarche, one of my favorite voice actors. It was pretty awesome.
Did you watch when they had what the hell was it?
And that was a great commercial, by the way. I think Mitch does a great job with those.
Yeah, he does. You know what? My mind's gone mush, so we'll move on.
Yeah, let's talk about Mark.
Totally.
It's pandemic brain.
Well, yeah, Mark, what about you? Speaking of voice actors, PJ just brought one up. Have you ever done voice acting for animation for Hollywood or anything?
Not animation, but I did 8 years on Adventures in Odyssey. Focus on the family show. I've done a lot of commercial stuff over the years. Worked for the same people over and over again. Animation and voiceover is so clicky. It's like, for my voice, I got to wait for a guy to die to get into that spot. Yeah. I kept inviting them out for drinks during the pandemic. Hey, let's go out for a drink and meet you at the bar.
And you mentioned Family Camp. Why don't you tell us a lot about that film and when's it coming out and all that stuff?
I have no idea when Family Camp is coming out. I know that they were really being meticulous in the editing, and it's a very fun family faith-based kind of film, and it takes place at a camp. And I'm a pastor, and this guy. Who I don't know why his name is escaping me right now. There's two guys that have a podcast together, and they're very funny, but they are the leads in the thing, and it's a lot of family fun and a lot of family values. It's like I watch a lot of the old shows like Andy Griffith, and I notice how they weave in these family values into these stories, and Family Camp is done very similarly. It's not overhandedly. Save your soul kind of a film, but it's definitely steeped in morals and family values.
Tommy Woodard and Eddie James.
Yes. Yeah, those dudes are funny, man. They are hilarious. Even off camera, it's like they're very funny together.
So speaking of conventions and whatnot, I don't know if you've ever done any as a guest or not, but if you were to go to a convention. Who are you going to wait in line to stand? And this could be anyone all time. somebody you admired as a kid, somebody now. Like, who are you waiting to spend your hard-earned money to meet and talk to? You get a minute and a half.
That's an easy one. The only person I'm willing to stand in line with, just because when I was on Chuck, we'd have people spending the night on the sidewalk out in front of San Diego Convention Center trying to get into Hall 20. And, there's 6,000 seats, I believe, and there would be 8,000 people in line. There's nobody that I'd be willing to stand in line overnight for except Jesus.
Okay.
That's it.
That's fair.
If you ain't Jesus, I ain't standing in line.
That's fair. And you're not. You're
sense,
referring like actual, not like it's Ray Allen. He played Jesus Shuttlesworth. Like no, like you mean like for real Jesus.
No, it's got to be Jesus.
Right. And speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, you've attended, obviously, as you just mentioned. How were they? Were they the fun time to do those things?
I started going just to people watch years ago before even I was involved with Chuck, and Chuck was the first time that I was actually invited to go. And it is a lot of fun, especially just seeing people in their costumes and it's one of those situations where costume wise, you get in where you fit in. Like you could see a guy standing in line in a $7,000 Iron Man suit, and standing right next to him is a college kid who took his football helmet and took the face mask off it and spray painted it and got a cardboard box and made the rest of his Iron Man suit, standing right next to each other, and that is fantastic. It's like I give you A for effort and you for an A for having a lot of dough.
Yeah, it's whatever you have within your means and your ability to create and adapt. It's no different from making a film. Like you were saying earlier, like, oh yeah, we shot this thing, in 6.5 hours or whatever it was, and we made this amazing film that looks like a big budget thing. It's because you know how to work within your means, and it's the same with really any creative people. It all just depends on the scale and the medium.
Yeah, but too, sometimes you got to keep in mind that not every costume is for everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean body. The body. Sometimes the lady from what's the movie where she falls in through the cab and Bruce Willis is driving?
Fifth Element.
The lady from the Fifth Element. That outfit, I've seen that outfit on many different bodies. And I'm telling you, it's not for all of them. I'm not shaming nobody's body. I'm just saying sometimes you might want to go with the Mumu. That might be a better fit. Something from Star Wars and brown could be good.
Again,
because that costume.
I wore this at a convention. I was 11 from Stranger Things, and this was my outfit. This was my outfit. I shaved my head. I shaved my beard. There were people that didn't recognize me that I saw the day before.
Wow.
And I was like, whatever,
but did you have fun? Did you
have
fun?
That's the thing. And I am not built like an 11-year-old girl. I can tell you that much. But I also admire and I'm sure you do as well, the confidence in yourself that you have. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I might be, I might not be Mila Jovovich size, but I like this character and I'm going to dress like this and I don't give a damn what anybody else says. So
that part is great, but if your Band-Aids are rolling into your rolls and disappearing, chances are you got to give it a rethink, or at least some double-sided tape.
Right.
So you mentioned Chuck, which is an incredible series, but do you keep in touch with anybody from those guys?
I hit Zach up probably 2 or 3 times a year to say hello, see how he's doing. Scott Krinsky I probably talk to more than anybody because he's a comic. Vic Sahai and I keep threatening to go out and hang out, but I'm down here and he's up there. Julia Ling, every time I post something that she likes, she'll like it and we'll end up chatting for a little bit. And we all got together during the pandemic and did a table read of a show of one of the episodes.
That's awesome.
And that was nice to see everybody, back together again.
That's nice.
That's always awesome. Like, especially like if if there's like an animated thing. So you said you'd never done any animation, but if you could,
I was close twice on Men in Black and Ghostbusters. And Men in Black, the note that I got from casting, going into the producer session was, yeah, they don't want it to be like Will Smith. And then I said, okay, so I'll do something different because I did Will Smith. And then when I finally saw the thing, it was somebody who did Will Smith. And I was like, well, yeah. And then the other one, it was just didn't go my way, but, ended up in front of producers and didn't get it.
Now, is that like, would those have been like your first choice? You're like, oh, I've always been a huge Ghostbusters fan and I would love to get on the show. Or are you like, oh man, I would love to get on to Star Wars. I just wish Phil Lamar would stop taking every role.
No, I think I'm just an actor and just want to work, and I think as an actor, you want to do things that you don't normally do.
Okay. I didn't know if you had any like specific fandoms that were near and dear to your heart that you were like, man, I would love to work on this project.
Nah, the only show that I wish I could work on would be Walking Dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that looked like that might be fun.
Yeah.
Now, you said, the animated version of Men in Black or whatever, but since you worked with Will Smith, can you imitate him good? You got a great voice for him?
I think back then, I have a very good ear, so I could listen to someone and then do their voice. I've gotten a lot of jobs that way, a lot of revoicing. Like I revoiced Eddie Murphy at the end of the movie Life when he and Martin are sitting in the stands and they're old men. So I revoiced old Eddie Murphy because he didn't want to come in and do it. Yeah. How about that? And it was great. So they'll send you a tape and you listen to it and then you give them the read back and that's what it was.
All right, and then they just add it in. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Now, I did bring up Stacks and how you produced it. Do you like producing? I mean, does that take a lot of work and a lot, searching for the money and stuff?
Well, for this, it didn't take a lot of work because Gerald pretty much did everything. Gerald and Meredith, and I produced theater. When I was growing up, when I was living in LA, we produced a lot of stuff out of the Los Angeles Theater Center. We're the Black Theater Artists Workshop, and so we produce a bunch of productions there. I produce a lot of comedy shows, and right now I'm trying to produce a TV show, and there's a sizzle reel that I'm getting ready to shoot so that we can try to get that done as well. I produced, the Pure Comedy for Pure Flix. I produced a reality show, sort of a cooking show kind of thing, more of a travel log cooking show for Bobby Flay's company, Rockfish. And once we finished shooting, the guy, I guess, who was our producer from Rockfish, I guess, left. And then the new guy didn't want to do anything with it. He was like, well, I have my own ideas. And I was like, well, can we have the footage? And they wouldn't give us the footage either. So I'm like,
that's tough.
That's irritating.
Oh, really irritating. I'm hoping to run into Bobby somewhere to ask him for it.
Now, do you have, you've done a lot of different stuff. Like, do you have aspirations to work outside of like stuff that you've done before? Like, oh, I want to direct, or I want to edit film, or I want to, work on a music score. Like, is there anything that you haven't done that you want to
do? I keep getting this question. Like when I do comedy, I do a lot of comedy at churches. And every time I do comedy at a church, someone asks me for my music because I sing a little bit in my act. And I don't have any music. So a friend of mine who I did a play with music, who knows that I can sing, said, hey, you gotta do it. And so he and I are currently working on an arrangement of hymns so that I can create some music. And I think if anything, I'd like to sing a little bit.
All right, that's cool. Yeah.
I don't think I want to be a pop star or anything, but it'd be nice to actually keep working at it and be confident enough to sing anywhere.
I mean, and there's tons of movies that are getting remade into musicals right now. I mean, you got the new Cinderella movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
A musical with Bobby Porter as the fairy godmother, which I think is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt to expand the resume.
Exactly. I think I think people always say that comedy is hard, but I think singing is harder than comedy because as a comic, you hit a bad joke, boom, you're right into a new one. You got 3, 4, 5 minutes of bad song.
There's actually a new Apple show that's a combination of the both comedy and singing. Central Park.
Oh, really?
It is friggin' hilarious. It's an animated show, but it's like a musical, but it's a comedy, and
Right.
it's awesome.
I gotta find it.
Yeah, it's Kristen Bell was in the first season, and they just replaced her. But it's about a man that he's like the park ranger for Central Park, and he has a family, and there's this old woman that runs a hotel right next to the park, and she wants to like take over the park and build on it and stuff. It's hilarious. Wolfie in the chat room says you've worked on a few horror movies, and you said working on Walking Dead would be cool to you. Can you give us a story of working on Child's Play 3 or Halloween 2?
I'll give you two stories. The Child's Play 3 story was they kept moving my start date, and I ended up being in a play, and they finally get back to me and want me to go to work, but I'm in this play, and we're in tech rehearsals, and you can't miss tech. And so I end up at the very end of the movie because we already had the deal, so they were going to have to pay me either way. So the deal was already in place. So they... you see me at the very end of the, I think it's Child's Play 3 or 4 or something, and I'm a cop, and all you see is me going, "Watch your head," and that's that. And then
amazing.
And then the other one was Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and I actually did the first one, and the main character, what is it, Jason? Is that the bad guy? So Jason is supposed to come. He's breaking out of the insane asylum. He's supposed to come into the office, kill me, go through the office window, and get out. So we did all of this great work where Rob comes to me and says, "Hey, so here's the scene. Here's the lines. But one of the reasons I hired you was that your ad libs were so great. I want you to just say these lines, but also just ad lib whatever." And so I ad lib some stuff, and then he cut, and he'd come. He says, "Well, during that take, you said this, and this, and this. Do it again, and keep that stuff in." Okay, so we do another take, and I do some more stuff, and he'd come back with even more. He goes, "Okay, you said this, and this. Keep that in too." And so we did probably 10 takes, and he says, "Okay, now run it all together." And so we ran it all together, and it was a great little monologue. I wish I had that footage. And so he moves on to the next part of the scene where Jason comes in to kill me, and he doesn't kill me. He kicks through the front door and just walks out. And so we were at the end of the day, so we didn't have time for another take. And so I get a call, a few months later from Rob saying, "Hey, this is Rob Zombie. Just wanted to let you know that I had to cut you out of the film because he didn't kill you. So I was looking for things to cut to get under 90 minutes. He says, but it wasn't your performance. He says your performance was great. Don't worry, I'll get you in the next one." And sure enough, I get a call from Rob Zombie. They're doing the next one, and I'm in.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So
one of the 2 times that someone has said they get me in again, and it happened. The other time was Seinfeld.
Very cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that is cool. Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you do a lot of stand up for the church and whatnot, and bringing the singing and stuff. Do you still do like clubs and stuff too, just for fun?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do you do tour? Do you tour around the country where people that are listening to this could see you?
Yeah, I try to pop out and hit some clubs. I don't do like a whole lot of like a lot of comics do like a bunch of dates in a row. Because I act a lot, I try to grab a free weekend here and there and get out and see something, and do something. I toured, Canada in February, right before the pandemic started. That was my last tour, and we did 13 cities in 10 days, and wow. that kind of made me go, yeah, this touring thing is for a young man. Yeah, it's different when you're touring on your own momentum, I think. But I was doing a tour called the Date Night Tour, so I had no control over anything that happened, and clearly didn't ask enough questions before I got there. and I'm going to leave it at that.
Right. Yeah. That's 13 in 10 days. Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. Wow. How about that? Yeah. Well, good for you. You survived it.
We started in Winnipeg, and we got there. I used to say that I'd rather be hot. I'd rather be cold than hot because you can keep putting stuff on, and when you're hot, you can be butt naked and still hot. And then we got to Winnipeg. It was 14 below, and we got out of the car, and my pants were frozen. And I was like, okay, I have to rethink the whole hot versus cold thing because this sucks. We were so happy to get to Edmonton where it was 7.
Yeah, definitely. We're all from the Northwest, so like our Northeast. So it's like 14 below. It's like, yeah, okay, so we're going outside for recess today. All right.
Well, the people that live there were going.
There's no big deal.
They were like in shorts. They're like, normally we're 30, 45 below. I was what? We were driving along and went, you know what? This is the place. This is where we're going to set up camp right here in Winnipeg.
Ooh, the air hurts my feet. This is a good place to set down.
Right. I know what was there that made them choose that location. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, to set up the city. Yeah.
Just go outside. I guess I got to get to work.
That's too funny.
Well, I mean, Phil, you're up north in New Hampshire, so you guys. Well, I know we get cold days like that too, where your pants freeze, but it's just 14 below is kind of rare for around here.
Yeah, that's pretty cold. There's no doubt. But it's I mean for I guess for Winnipeg it's still warm.
Yeah.
Our friend Mark says it's 35 below usually.
We get those days where we get the polar vortex and it's colder outside of our houses than it is on Mars. Like,
yeah, we get those every so often.
And folks from a summer, more southern, year-round summer type climate, I understand. It's like, oh man, I need a jacket. Why? It's like 65 out. It's like, what?
Yeah, no, we're the people here that in April when it's 45 degrees, we're in t-shirts and shorts because this is warm because we just came out of 0-degree weather for the past 4 months.
Yeah, well, here in San Diego, the temperature gets really cold and we have to break out our thick t-shirt.
Yeah, it's 14 below 100.
It's 70 out.
Somebody grabbed me a blanket. I'm a little bit nippy.
I gotta get that park out. It's 65 today.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we'll look at it's like, oh, there was a dusting of snow in Alabama, and you see just like miles of cars backed up on the highway. Meanwhile, like there's 2 feet of snow outside, and your boss like, why aren't you at work yet? It's only 2 feet of snow.
I was supposed to do a show in Raleigh. And it snowed. And before I get off the plane, there's a message on my phone that said, they may cancel the show. And so I check into the hotel and I was like, well, I'm so glad I didn't pay for this plane ride because usually I'll just pay for it and get reimbursed. And so I'm so glad I didn't do that. And then the next morning it snowed for like 3 minutes and they canceled the show. And I was like, what? And apparently they said, well, some of the wait staff can't get to the club, so we won't have enough wait staff. I was like, I'll do comedy and wait the tables.
Think about the tips you get.
Right. That's true.
More than I would have made doing the comedy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, the ground is wet. Yeah, but it's also cold.
Right. Well, that's like here in California. It rains and people think the sky is falling.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now, let me ask you this: you mentioned that Stacks is up on YouTube and whatnot. Do you have like a YouTube channel or doing anything over there that people can follow you on?
I have a YouTube channel. I haven't been vigilant in putting stuff up, but when I do, I just bombard it with stuff. I remember the first time I started using it. I had it for like 2 years. I hadn't put anything on, and then I had all these videos from Chuck behind the scenes stuff. I started throwing that stuff up there. It's like every day I just throw something up. And I think it's about time to do another bombardment because I got a lot of stuff on my phone that I haven't done anything with.
Well, we do have a bunch of your links in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. Plus also your Instagram as well. I love I follow you, and I love seeing your inspirational quotes.
Sure.
I love
Well,
seeing.
well, someone asked me, why do I do that? And I said, well, I've always done it on Twitter from day one. I've always like first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I read scripture from the YouVersion Bible, today's scripture, and I've been doing that from day one of Twitter. And then when the pandemic happened, all my other outlets, I would put up all my posts from shows coming up, and I had nothing to post. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just post the same stuff. And I started doing it, and people like it, so I keep doing it.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
sometimes, especially after the last 15 months that we've had, a lot of people have been tested in a variety of different ways, and sometimes
Absolutely.
you just need a little bit of affirmation, whether you're religious or not. Just the fact that someone's out there like, hey, I believe in you. I'm, it's okay. We're all going through the same thing. You're not alone.
Exactly.
It's nice to see and hear that sometimes.
Yeah, because probably every day someone sends me a message in inbox. I needed to hear that today.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and with your reach, people love your work and whatnot. They follow you, so
my reach on Instagram and stuff is not that big. I'm hoping that I'll get some of your followers.
Well, I just followed you too, so
there you go. Yeah,
but
anytime
5,000, but Instagram, I think I'm only at around 7.
No, that's
Hey, it's still, like you said, I said 7,000 people that you get the contact, and like you said, you get a note every day, which is great.
Yeah.
And
unlike most celebs, I actually talk to people every day. So like every day, if I have time, if there's a message in my inbox, I'll answer it.
Which is very cool. Like, a lot of people really appreciate that. So it's not just like they're yelling into the void. Sometimes the void will answer back. Which is nice, because
I think the most annoying question though is can you help me get in touch with Zach?
I mean, I can totally understand someone doing that. Like,
he never answers, is what they say.
I mean, if I'm doing it, I'm not going to ask someone else. I'm going to reach out directly to him and like, hey, you want to be on my podcast? Something like that. I'm not going to ask like, hey, will you ask your friend to be? It's like, well, what about me?
Right.
Well, I think you're great. Can you ask your friend if he'll come on my show? What about me?
That's like when I met Stan Lee one year at Comic-Con. We went to this after party. It was all of us that were still there. It was me, Zach, Yvonne, Adam Baldwin, Scott Krinsky was there. I don't think Vic was there. And we're going into this little club, and Stan Lee is coming out, and he sees Zach, and he shakes his hand, and then they introduce him to Adam Baldwin, and then he comes over and shakes Krinsky's hand, and then he's about to shake my hand, and he sees Yvonne and just like pushes me out of the way. And I was like, I get it.
yeah, makes sense. That's true. That's true. It is Yvonne, so yeah.
So what was it like working on Terminator 2?
It was fantastic, and I'll tell you this story. It's like there've been several times in my career where I felt like maybe I should have went ahead and gone to law school. Where things got really slow, and that was the first time where I think it was like 3 months. I didn't work for 3 months, and literally I was floating from one thing to the next, from theater to TV to film, just career just moving, commercials, everything. And all of a sudden, I had 3 months of nothing, and I was panicking. I was like, man, did I make a mistake? All my friends from the debate team at USC are all clerking for judges, or are working on major law firms or whatever. And so I decided, I saw this thing, this ad in the paper, learn to deal cards. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go learn to deal cards and go to Monaco and be a card dealer. And they said you could audit the first class. If you liked it, it's $499. So I audit the first class. I go to the class, and about an hour and a half in, suits come in and shut the class down.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Apparently,
wow.
they're laundering money through the class.
Oh,
Oh, jeez.
And there's been several times in my career where I felt like God went, "No, you're not doing that. You're going to do this." And then about a week and a half later, I get a call from the wardrobe designer from Terminator 2 asking me for my sizes. And I was like, "What's this for?" And she said, "Terminator 2." And I had auditioned like almost 3 months prior. And I called my agents and said, "Hey, I just got a call from the wardrobe designer at Terminator 2." And they said, "Oh, yeah, we're on the phone with him right now."
How about that?
And at the time, it was the most money I'd ever made on a film, and the most fun I'd had on a film at the time. Just, I was fascinated by this gigantic production and how they spent money on different things, and the camera setups and James Cameron's meticulousness. All that stuff was really fascinating to me, and I wouldn't rest. It's like I get to set, get dressed, and get out to set and watch. And then one night, I realized, we're shooting, 16, 17, 18, 19-hour days. I should probably lay down at some point, because after the shoot was over, I had to drive home, which was, I think at the time I was living in Venice, and we were shooting out, little known fact, when you watch the Rodney King video where he's getting his beat and there's big giant lights in the background, that was Terminator 2. And so we're shooting way out there. And one night I got really sleepy driving home, and then I started resting. If they didn't need me on set, I'd rest. And so now I can sleep anywhere. I just drop off. I'd be standing up at a party. Yeah, that was fun.
And I would imagine the commute from LA to Italy was quite arduous.
Oh, very funny, PJ. Very funny. Well played. Well played. That's awesome.
I wonder why you didn't want to drive.
Well, hey, we're from New England. We don't know all these things in California. I'll forgive you, PJ, on that one.
I know it's there, but the joke was there too.
The joke was there. The joke was there.
He's a comedy guy. He appreciates the effort, I hope.
I did. But to get back to your point, that there's been so many times where I just felt like, I should do something else, and then the door would open to a new gig, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and I realized I love doing this. There's nothing else I'd rather do.
Which is awesome. That's great. Once you find that thing that you're passionate about, that you love, that you can do and make money doing, make a living, have a good home and support for your loved ones. Like if you're able to do that, doing the thing that you love. Because I've done a lot of stuff that I don't like and I haven't enjoyed, but you do what you have to do. But if you get to do what you love to do, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true. Yeah. Nice.
So I'm gonna. I know we're coming close on time, so we're gonna end on this question, unless you guys have anything else. But we are on the dorkening. What makes you a dork? What is there something other than like acting or anything that you're like? We had Bruce Valanche on, and we found out that he loves the history of like sunken vessels, like the Titanic and stuff like that. Is there something that you have like a deep passion about that's like outside of your profession?
And it's funny. I don't know that it makes me a dork, but I'm fascinated by it, and I love doing it. My pastime. I like shotgun sports.
Nice.
Okay.
So shooting sporting clays is a lot of fun for me.
Nice.
And like I went to USC on a debate scholarship, so I think that made me a dork, even though I wasn't. I was an athlete, but I remember taking the high school proficiency exam in junior high, and I ended up in the highest English class at our school. And athletes would walk by and see me in there and go, "What are you doing in there?" I'm like, "I don't know. Apparently I can read."
Well, that's the thing. Like everybody's got their one thing. Like no matter what it is. Like you could be like, obviously I'm into sports and I have all my stuff behind me.
Right.
If I can sit there, it's like, oh, what comic book Spider-Man was in? It's like, yeah. Oh, what Matty Allou's batting average was in 1964. How is that any different?
Right.
You can
Right.
tell
Well,
what the Cowboys record was last year for the last 8 years when the last time they made the playoffs. But that's not being a dork. Come on.
Well, I can tell you, Doug Koenig, out of the last 22 Bianchi Cups, action pistol competitions, he won 19 of them, and out of 288 possible bullseyes, the last year I was there and shot the tournament, he shot 282. So,
Wow. There it
is. Like guys like that, it's fascinating to me, and I'm kind of dorky about it.
To me, it's just it's synonymous for passion. That's all.
Yep.
That's all
Exactly.
it is.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
you're passionate about.
Indeed. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we urge everybody definitely check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. So, Mark, we talked about Instagram, but where do you like interacting with your fans the most?
Instagram, Messenger, either or. You can go to my website, marcusforlunch.com, and all of my social media links are there. But definitely go to Instagram and follow me and like some stuff, and chances are I'll follow you back.
Awesome. Will do. Philip.
Folks can go to darkdiscussions.com, which is a movie and pop culture website. It's updated daily with news, articles, and whatnot. 10-year anniversary was just this past March, and hopefully folks will go and check it out.
Nice. Patsy.
You can find me here every Monday, Throwdown Thursday every Thursday, although we did just take our first ever week off due to physical and mental health necessities. But we just hit our 5-year anniversary. So 5 years, 1 day off. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
You can also check out throwdownthursdaypodcast.com. I actually just posted an article right before we left of 10 characters and 10 real life people. It was a little bit of a mix who I think are worthy of lifting Thor's hammer. And then, of course, because I am who I am, I added 5 honorable mentions. Because I can't just stick to a top 10 list. So check that out.
And for me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. I'm not going to say which is which. But more importantly, follow these awesome people and go follow Mark. Definitely for his inspiration, but also his comedy. Absolutely love him. But definitely also check out. I forget the name of it. It's Clean Out of Compton. The link is down below. And the Dorkening Podcast Network.com. I'm updating the website. So the Dorkening Podcast Network.com. And once I get everything all set, I'll redirect to Dorkening to that. And with that, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.